hope you have been doing well with the modules. We have all been enjoying your comments, and we appreciate the time that you've been putting in working on all these different topics. We realize that it's been a lot of work, a lot of reading, and a lot of thinking, but hopefully it will all be worth it and provide you the foundation that you need when you are here in San Marcos and are able to get some hands-on experience with this material. And it's almost time for that. Depending on when you're watching this, we're only 2 weeks away from your visit to us in Texas. So I hope you're getting ready for that. We're all getting very excited about hosting you. And we have some really great things planned. We've had some really great modules over the past several weeks, things about coding and data, VR, drones. And now it's time to discuss some of the research implications that each of these areas brings up. Many of you have made comments throughout in the discussion that bring up a lot of different areas that are ripe for research and further study. There are things about ethics, our responsibility, equity, whether these things are even practical for certain types of organizations. In this module, I introduce you to a few academic publications and articles that I feel are fairly provocative in providing new approaches to doing this type of scholarship. And I'm sure that you'll have your own examples of what you think is new and provocative. The main issue around digital scholarship is understanding the digital environment so that research is meaningful, relevant, and useful to whatever audience needs this information. And so in my mind, that means new methods, possibly, new theories, possibly new canons of theory in terms of the disciplines from which they come, and possibly new means of publication. And there are many issues in society that technology touches, so there is a great opportunity to study its effects and how important it's going to become to everyone on a global basis. So the first few articles that I have are just some examples of things that I think are pretty provocative topics and new approaches. The first one is by Daniel Kress and Shannon McGregor, and Daniel will be joining us via Skype during one of the days of the bootcamp. And their article, Technology Firms Shape Political Communication, the Work of Microsoft, Facebook, Twitter, and Google with Campaigns During the 2016 US Presidential Cycle, is a pretty fascinating look at how these companies assigned employees to work directly with the campaigns and the effect that it had on the election. The next article is by Amy Schmitz-Weiss about location-based news in mobile news apps. And so she looked across a lot of different types of news organizations to see how they were using location-based services in their applications. Amy has also been the research chair of the International Symposium on Online Journalism. Many of you might know it as ISOJ. For many years, and she will be joining us as well on a Skype during one of the modules, talking about her research as well as some trends she has seen over the years at ISOJ. And speaking of ISOJ, I have a link for you. I highly recommend going into all of the materials at ISOJ, taking a look at some of the research, as well as the videos that they have shot every year of their conference. But I have a link that will take you directly to one of the days that included an interview with the news editor of BuzzFeed, Ben Smith, as well as a panel on tech trends that I found to be particularly provocative. I also have a TED Talk from Zeynep Tufekci, and she is a professor at the University of North Carolina in the School of Information, and she always speaks very provocatively about the role of technology in spreading information. So I think her talk will give you some ideas about some of the things that we need to be paying attention to as we come up with research agendas. Same thing with Jaron Lanier. He is an internet pioneer, and he has some very specific ideas about what we need to do to fix the internet that we have now so that it's not this chaotic land of misinformation, and how we can harness it and improve it for society. There are several outlets that I feel provide some unique and new opportunities for doing research. The Center for Media Engagement at the University of Texas is one of those that really looks at the ways that media engages their audience, and Talia will be joining us by Skype. I've already mentioned ISOJ in terms of the conference as well as their journal that has had some provocative research over the years. The Tao Center for Digital Journalism at Columbia has been a good point for unique kinds of research that support the profession. Neiman Journalism Lab at Harvard has also been a place where provocative articles are written around either research topics or emerging ideas. American Press Institute has also had some very interesting research studies. Columbia Journalism Review has long been a place for meaningful discussion of issues. And of course, the Pew Research Center, the area on internet and technology, has done many research studies over the years that has been really valuable background information and has tracked the internet world, the changing digital environment over the decades. And then finally, Digital Journalism is a publication that I feel is a traditional journal in its form, but has really in its substance come up with a lot of provocative topics and has supported provocative types of research. So we want to talk about in the Slack this week is how you're going to make sense of all this in your own academic careers. Does it create any tension, or do you feel that there are opportunities and challenges that you will be able to address in researching these emerging topics? Which of these areas do you find most fruitful for your own research agenda, and what are some ways that you might begin to measure or analyze these trends? What are you thinking now that you have had a lot of the background of these modules behind you? And what challenges do you see in getting this actually published? What venues do you think are most relevant? How does that fit into your goal of achieving tenure? Because of course, this is something that everyone is concerned about, and the tenure policies sadly often dictate the direction of our research. What can we do to influence that? And what are some strategies that you think you will need to develop to deal with this environment? So those are the marching orders for this week. I really look forward to the discussion because I think this is the area that provides the most applicability to the situation that a lot of you are in as you work on your PhDs and try to get those articles published and really figure out what your research agenda is going forward. And then this will dovetail as we go into next week, that we'll talk about some of the pedagogical implications, because I firmly believe that in some way you have to integrate your research agenda with your teaching strategies to have a really fully meaningful career. So we are quickly getting close to your visit here, and we're excitedly getting ready for it. I look forward to the discussion that we're going to have this week in the Slack channel. And again, if anybody has any questions as we get closer to your time with us, please email me.